Have you heard about Arctic Gold? Have you ever seen it? Or how about the truffle of fruit? Today, I am going to taste some Arctic Gold, aka Cloudberry. I'm going to try it on top of the vegan ricotta I'm going to make right now. I grew up in Finland. I was a little girl when we moved to Canada, so I may have had Cloudberry when I was there. And the reason I did a deep dive into cloudberries because recently my niece and I went to the Finnish church that's here in the lower mainland in Vancouver, and they were doing an Easter sale, and one of the suppliers that always they have an online store and they sell things. I ended up finding a little jar of Finnish cloudberry jam, and this one is seedless. So the price of this in Canadian dollars was $18.90. And I could not really remember all the details about cloudberries. I don't know if I ever knew. So I did a deep dive into looking into cloudberries, and boy did I learn a lot about them. You usually have it in Finland on something called juustoleipä, or squeaky cheese, or it's bread cheese. And during one of these deep dives, when I was watching some videos, this one man was having squeaky cheese or juustoleipä, and he called it was just the carrier. It was like a bread. It was the carrier for whatever condiments you want to put on it. And I've had squeaky cheese or leipä juusto, and I'm sure I must have had cloudberries when I was little. But I can't really remember what it tastes like. So this will be a first in a long time. And as we make the ricotta, I'm going to just tell you some facts about cloudberries, because it's really, now I really truly understand why they're called Arctic Gold. I always make, I call it my vegan cream cheese, and I usually make it with ground almonds that I buy from big bags from Costco. And depending on what I want to do with it, I can flavor it more. If I want it to be like a cream cheese that I'll spread on toast, then I'll add a lot more herbs and flavors to it. But if it's something that I want to add, for instance, like say I'm making lasagna and I want it to be one of the layers, I don't necessarily add all the other things into it. Sometimes I do pasta shells and put the cheese inside the pasta shells. But this time, because ricotta is quite a neutral, mild, or flavor, I'm only going to be using the almonds, some salt, a little bit of olive oil, and some lemon juice, and that's it. Because I want it to be neutral, because I want to be able to taste the cloudberries on top of it. So it's quite easy. There's not too many steps to this. Because I'm using ground flour, you could probably use any type of a blender. If I was using whole or pieces of almond, I would probably soak them in some boiling water for a while to soften them if you don't have a Vitamix like I do. So this here, I just added my ground flour. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt. And I will add a tiny bit of onion powder to this also. Then I'm going to zest a little bit of lemon zest in here. Not too much, because I don't want these flavors to overpower the delicious cloudberry that I'm going to try. Okay, I think that's good. If I was doing this as a cream cheese, I'd add things like dill and lots of lemon and lots of yummy things. Then I'm going to add some lemon juice. Oh, that's a good spill. There we go. And I'm going to, sometimes I skip this stuff, but today I'm going to add about maybe a tablespoon of olive oil. And then, because this is good to have on hand, it's really delicious on toast. And then what I'm going to do is add approximately, I'm going to start off with a half a cup of water and see how it blends and the consistency of it, and then I'll add more if I need to. Okay, let's put it on the Vitamix. Okay, definitely need a little bit more blending time. I think I have enough liquid in there, but let's see. Okay, I think this is just about it. I'm just gonna give it a little taste to make sure it's got some flavor, but not too much. That's good. I'm gonna add a tiny bit of more lemon zest. Okay, let's see how it looks. I'm just gonna put it into this container here. It is so delicious. You can leave out the oil and it's still just as good. And I find that I don't need to put this into a cheesecloth and drain it at all. Sometimes I've seen some recipes where they say to do that, and I have even made this into a feta. I will bake it, and I'll show you that another time. If you're interested, let me know, because as a Finnish person, they eat a lot of cheese over there. I ate a lot of cheese growing up, and it was the one thing that I didn't know how I would live without. And I didn't necessarily want to eat a bunch of really, when I say processed, like cheeses with a lot of fillers and things to make it have that texture of cheese. So what I like about this is it really fulfills that craving that I have for cheese. And when I bake it into a feta, I can slice it and use it like sliced cheese on a sandwich or anything, or crumble it up in a salad or whatever you want. And this really satisfies my need for cheese. And I know exactly how many and what ingredients are in it. So that's the part I love about it. And you can make it as savory or as, you know, as you want. So it's perfect. Let me get rid of this. Absolutely yummy. Look how good this looks. So I usually I make double this batch, and I will put it in some containers, and it stays in the fridge, lasts well for a good 5 days at least. I've eaten it after a week, so it's delicious. And the best part is that you can change it up to whatever you're really feeling in the mood for. So I really like it with dill. I like it with a lot of garlic, things like that. So whatever you want. It's delicious, spread on top of toast, in sandwiches, and when you're cooking anything, it's delicious to add on top. So I was really curious. This is what sparked my interest in this cloudberry business, is because of the price of this little jar. This is 220 grams and for just under $19. The ingredients in here are Finnish cloudberry, sugar, water, gelling agent, pectin, and some acidity, citric acid, which is normal, and preservatives, which is potassium sorbate. Cloudberries are actually called Rubus camemoreus, and that, I'm sure I pronounced completely wrong, are a type of wildberry native to the northern regions, Scandinavia, Russia, Canada, Alaska. And did you know that the areas that in North America you can find cloudberries is actually Alaska and Newfoundland? And they love marshy, boggy land. That's why they're really one of the best places to find cloudberries is in Finland, because there's so much marshy, boggy land throughout because of all the lakes. So I have heard that cloudberries are sweet with a slight tart and even a savory kind of a taste to them. I have no idea how that all combines. They're loaded with vitamin C. So back in the day, they used to be used as a medicinal plant to ward off scurvy. It's also vitamin C and antioxidants inside these cloudberries make them very nutritious. But cloudberries aren't actually a berry. They are a fruit and not a berry. And they have a look that is similar to blackberries and raspberries, but they're a golden amber color when they're ripe. And what I found really fascinating, and which explains the cost of these little guys, is that one plant can take up to 7 years to grow one fruit. So one plant has only one fruit on it, and it can take up to 7 years for it to come to fruition. Oh my gosh. So the price of it is crazy. And in Finland, the growing season, what would you say? They start ripening and becoming available in July, and by August it's done. Very short growing season. Because of the way these plants grow, they're not economically feasible to harvest, and then for any farmer to try to grow these, to harvest them to make any kind of an income. So everybody can go foraging in the forest for these, or in these marshy areas. And because of Finland and the other northern countries that have the everyman's, what is it called? Everyman's law. In Finland, they have everyman's right. So as long as you're respectful of the area you're foraging in, everybody is allowed to pick berries and fruit that's on the land and eat it and use it. There are some restrictions I found about cloudberries, that some areas you're not supposed to transport the berries far from the area where you pick them. I don't know how they monitor that. They're very hard to find unless you want to travel out into an area that's more remote, and then you can actually see a whole field of these little guys, but it's not like a bush that you'll see with a bunch of berries on it. You'll just see these little golden little fruits that are popping out of the ground. And these plants don't grow very tall, so they're very low to the ground on top of it all. Because of the short growing season and the difficulty harvesting these, they're usually made into jams and jellies, as you know, as I've got here. So they will obviously need to add things into making jams and jellies. So I'm not going to get the full taste of a cloudberry here, because it's already been, sugars have been added to it. But the one thing that I found interesting is that you're supposed to put the whole berry in your mouth, and push it with your tongue to the roof of your mouth and let the juices flow down your throat, and then don't chew the seeds, because it's very woody tasting or something like that. So they're not chewable, you just swallow them. This jam happens to be seedless, so they've removed all the seeds. And I'm going to put the store here in Canada that I got it from, that's an online store, and they go to markets, called Fin Goods. It'll be in the description. I'll put a link to their store if you're interested in Finnish goods and Nordic goods, because they're starting to expand their offerings. And like I told you, in Finland, usually it's apparently eaten with leipäjuusto, the bread cheese, the squeaky cheese. And Sweden, Norway, and other countries that you can find these berries growing also have their own desserts and different things that they like to eat the fruit with. So let's taste it now. I have a newsletter. I'll put a link down in the description. I write about things that I find helpful for me in my midlife journey to stay healthy and fit. So I'd love to see you join me in my newsletter. All right, let's taste this. I'm just going to try it like this first. It's really good. I think it's probably sweeter than the berry would be if I had a real berry. But it's almost got a creamy, I don't know how to explain it, like a custardy taste or feel to it. Let me just try it again. It's delicious. It's not too tangy. It'd be really interesting to know what the berry tasted like, but it does have a distinct flavor. Okay, let me get some bread and put it on some of this almond ricotta. Maybe I got too much ricotta there. Getting carried away with that. Okay, let's try this. This is gonna be my lunch. You've got to try this almond ricotta. It is so good. And if you're interested, if you want me to make some almond feta or some other cream cheeses, let me know in the comments and I'll do that. Okay, here goes. Mmm. Mmm. This is so good. I love savory foods, but I love mixing sweet with savory. This is really tasty. You have got to try this combination. There you go. I hope you found this video interesting. I hope you learned a little bit about cloudberries. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, cloudberry is so important in Finland that it's actually on the €2 coin in Finland. And that's what they have on their €2 coin is cloudberry. So I hope you found this a little bit informative about cloudberries, which I learned a lot looking into this. And I hope you got inspired by my vegan ricotta, that if you're eating plant-based, you can definitely have a cheesy taste without missing out at all. So have a great week. I'll see you next time. Bye.